are starting. Alright, so today we are making a factory off of the train network. So last time we set up, we put all these rails, we put signals on them, and did all that sort of stuff. And today we need to use them for something, so that they're not just sitting here pointlessly. So, let's see here. Do heavy modular frames only use iron? No, they're going to use steel and encased industrial beams, which is concrete. Alright, so that seems like a bit much for just what is basically a test factory. So I think what I'm going to do is just do iron rods, because I technically never made an iron rods factory at the whole 10 times scale thing that I'm going for here. So let's head over, I guess, this way. And set up the factory. So the first thing we need to do is just set out a little something like this. Ideally, we would want this process to be relatively quick since we're going to be doing it a lot. So we have those, then we need one of those for them to hook into. Alright, so this is the right side, and it's going to have to go into there. And let's see, this is going to have to go into there like that. Then this is the output. So it needs to go in like that. And like that. Alright, I think that's correct. And alright, we're just gonna let that train pass through real quick. I think these are supposed to all be path signals. As well as this gets a path signal. And this gets a block signal. Oh, no. I think that's the old problem where this has to be further back, like there. And should be all good now. Alright, so we have this. We have this branch off of this. And we just need to turn this into a train station. So let's get some foundations in and set that up. So I believe the train stations are best like this wide-ish. And then they're really quite long. So that all goes out there. And then, let's see, so this is the input, whereas this is the output. Okay, I actually think the way I want to align this is like that. And pop the train station just in here. Maybe move it back a little bit for spacing purposes. Alright, and then we're going to have to reattach that so that it's not on a tiny little rail segment. call that rods production. That's what we're going to be doing here, because it's nice and simple and easy to make. Just as a confirmation that things work. Alright, so then that branches around there and is going to go back to the production. And then we have our crate platforms, which is going to be 1, 2, 3. And we expand this out and then get another 2 in. Because these do... the trains are standardized, right, at 10... at 5 trains. So we need the space for that. So that's 4. And that's 5. Alright, then we simply head around here. And this has to come back there and then loop around in. Alright, how do we get this to not be too sharp? I don't know, I guess that, but then that's too sharp. Alright, then what if we just... yeah, no, obviously that's not going to happen. What if we have it curve around from this way? And just go somewhere like that. And then that is still too sharp. So I guess we need to bring this even further back to get even more time to curve. So you can go like there. And then twist back around. And I'm sure there's a better way of doing that, but should be fine. And obviously there's only ever going to be one train in here, so it doesn't have to be... it doesn't really have to be blocked or anything. So we go to here. Timetable. Right, we only have one train currently, so we need to put in the output train. And putting a second train on the tracks, this is where things might very well go wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to call this one Iron Train 1. And it is going to go distributor to rods production. Turn on self-driving and leave. Now we just have to set these all to unload, and that will be that. Alright, pretty sure I got all of them. So now we're going to have a whole bunch of iron ore here. And at some point, I'm going to have to somehow get water up here, which, for pure iron reasons. But for now, we can just use default non-water based recipes. And let's expand this out. So we have the room to build our factory. And actually, I wonder if we should just, like, build the factory directly over. Yeah, that would save a lot of horizontal space. Just go up. Ladder on up. And keep placing. Alright, we just have to get high enough up Oh, I think we may have encountered a problem. I see a blinking error light. Always a good sign. You love to see that it's not working. Alright, let's head over there and see what happened first. Gotta fix the train network after all. So over we go. Fortunately, we are still quite close to the hub. Alright, so what is the problem? It says it's a signaling problem. Okay. Does this say signals are making the next stop unreachable? Oh boy. How is that possible? So we're definitely allowed to head out this way. Okay, this is the path signal, which is fine. Then we loop around the loop, which I know functions. Must be a problem here, right? I don't know what the problem is. I mean, we clearly go in there. Where's the other train? It's all the way over there, just doing nothing of interest. So this looks fine, right? Open up the signals. Then that is a whole path signal thing, then that, but that should be fine. So I don't think that's the problem. Did I place a signal backwards somewhere? Okay, that block signal is not the problem. Is exiting here the problem? It shouldn't be, right? You should be able to just casually leave here. Alright, so there's definitely a green check there. So what on earth is going on? So you can definitely go into this block because there's a block signal there for it. Then you can definitely continue along this way. Yeah, I actually have no idea what's causing that to not be happy. Well, I guess we can see if I just manually drive it along. Then eventually okay, turn off self-driving, go forwards. Okay, now we're in this section and we go along here. Now turn on self-driving, still unreachable. Alright, so it's not the immediate exit. So we need to keep on going. Alright, and we exit here. And how about now? Still no good. We need to move to get out of the way of that train. And we need to go around the roundabout and get back over there. Right, around we go. And this isn't the problem, right? No. We're fine there. now we keep going. Oh, please move. Alright, so then we set that to go forwards. And then we're in. And it's still... even here. Is it because part of the train is still back there? I guess. How about in here? Alright, there are literally no signals between me and the next stop. So I don't know what's going on with that. Is this curve not connected properly? What on earth? I mean, we're literally 5 meters away from the next station. I don't know, maybe... maybe I just put in a block like that. And I put in a block like that. Yeah, it seems to be dumb. Next stop, rods production. We are literally halfway into rods production. So what is so unreachable? Alright, what if I delete that and put it back in? No? Okay. That's concerning. Alright. I mean, I do not understand what the problem is. But if I tell it, don't go to rods production, just go to the distributor, then it's fine. Alright. Well, we're gonna send it off again and see if something changes. But I don't know what would, because it genuinely should be fine. It should be 100% fine. So yeah, that's weird. And I assume it's just going to happen again, right? I've never had a problem like that before, where it was just confused for no reason. Hopefully I can figure out what's happening. Because it's definitely not like a normal thing. Trains don't normally do that. This is the most complicated pathing I've ever done. But it's not that complicated, though. Yeah, it gets all the way over there and just instantly gives up. Weird. Alright, for now, let's just build this. So you... Actually, I have to actually do the math. Well, let's get some of this in first. Because I know I'm going to need at least one conveyor lift. Up we go. Now, I think because I can't guarantee that these will be permanently like evenly distributed like this, I think I am going to need to use all of the cars just in case, like if the first car ends up completely filled up and used, then this would unexpectedly work even if the other cars still had stuff in them, which would obviously be bad. So we're going to set this up. Wait, no, not there. That's the wrong one. And then this one goes up there. And in there. Then this one goes up there. And there. Then this one goes up there. And there. Alright, so we have those. Now let's climb up. Oh, is it? Hang on. I mean, it's got to be something weird to do with this station, right? So that's the path signal heading out, which is fine. That's the block signal going in. This is a path signal. And that's a path signal. What if I just make these block signals? Block signal, block signal. Block signal. Alright. Has that fixed the problem? No, apparently not. Alright, we really need to fix this because the entire thing doesn't work if we can't get the trains over. Alright, what is your problem? What? Why are you like this? It just says, and I'm standing too close to it on the map to see, signals are making the next stop unreachable. Yes, but which signals? What does it think that it wants to do that it's not being allowed to do? So it definitely goes around here. Goes onto this, and we know all of this part is fine because the other train does this part. And we know that that whole thing is fine because the other train does that part. It has to be something on this intersection, right? Maybe... Oh, I bet I know. I bet if I take that signal and it goes there. Does that work? No, it doesn't seem to work. Alright, and then that signal... Well, while we're doing this, all these signals need to be behind that. Alright, for some reason that swapped that sign around, which I don't think matters, but is a thing that happened. Alright, let's get rid of that block signal. It's almost certainly useless. Alright, is there anything wrong between that train and that station? Alright, so we're here. I guess the only thing would, like... Hang on. Did I just notice something weird? Is this correct? Yeah, that's a path signal, right? So it should be fine. And also, besides, like, the other train goes on all of this part. It is just fine. So it's gotta be something over by the rods. But I don't see anything that's wrong over there. Like, it looks perfectly functional to me. So let's get in here. Turn off self-driving, turn on self-driving. And yeah, I just don't know what's going on. I simply do not understand what the problem is. Alright, turn off self-driving. We're gonna drive this manually again. So off we go. We're into this block, which is fine. The next block is fine. So then we have a path block. And another path block. And we just go around the roundabout as usual. Around we go. Oh, did I not hook up the intersection properly? Maybe that's the problem? But I mean, it clearly works, right? But even as far as back here, it says signals are making the next stop unreachable. Which is simply impossible. Right. There are literally no signals between you and the next stop. Literally none. So that's weird. Is there anything that needs... I don't know, let's make these path signals again. So that gets to be a path signal, that gets to be a path signal, and that gets to be a path signal. And that should be fine. And path signals work in exactly this situation elsewhere. Alright, what if we turn off self-driving, we remove all of that, we add it back in. Alright, it says next station is ion distributor. So it's just going to drive straight through that. The other train is going to wait at the light, which is completely normal and correct. And then it's going to get over there and it's going to say, sorry, I don't know how to get to iron. if it works this time, I'm going to be very confused. So for the sake of my sanity, I would really rather this continue to not work. Alright, it's doing its thing over there. And it's loading up. Trying to... yeah, and it gets confused. Alright, well, I guess... let's make further progress on this rod factory. So what we need to do is, first of all, figure out how many iron rods we even need. So, we need 150 iron rods, which is 150 iron ingots, which is 150, what are they called? Iron ore, right? Because this is just 1-to-1? Yes. Alright, so take these as Mark III, and since we don't know for sure which one of these will have spare iron to use for this, we're going to just merge them all up. So we get a merger and a merger, and we just keep bringing this along. Alright, now we just combine them all. And so this belt should have 270 on it, which is, of course, more than 150, which is good enough for me. So now we have this. Then the next thing we need to do is make 150 iron ingots, which is going to be, how many? 30 a minute, so it's going to be 5 smelters. So I guess we just bust out the old 1 to 5. And we connect that up. Then all of these need to be upgraded, and the rest don't. Then we just pop in the smelters, which aren't going to fit perfectly, but should be pretty close. Alright, so those go in, those go in. And so now we have our 5 smelters, which make 150 iron ingots. And let's paste those settings across. There we go. So now we have 150 iron ingots. We just need to make rods, which is going to be 2 constructors per smelter, which is a little bit annoying because constructors are both larger than smelters and we need more of them. So we expand this space out a little bit. So that should give us enough room. And then we get in 10 constructors, which we're just going to have nice and centered on these. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, it might not be perfectly centered. I don't think I did the math right, but that's fine. Actually, it might be perfectly centered, or just about. 9, and 10. Alright, so now we just have to feed these in. So let's see, we need this one to go there and into those two. Then we need one there, go into those two. And actually, I could have speed balanced this, but this is also just as easy, really. I don't like the straight belt there. Just give me a default. Then this gets to go into those two. And this gets to go into these two. And finally one more goes there and there. Alright, so now we have all these. We could obviously have done this more efficiently with steel rods or something, but that would require bringing coal up, which is beyond the scope of this basic prototype. So now we just put all these settings across. Alright, settings done. Now we just have to get the power over from the train station. So there we go, and then we drag the line over this way. And right, this needs to be a Mark II power pole. Then we need another one. And let's power all of these machines on. And one more to get these last couple. Alright, so now we just need to merge them up and put them into a dimensional depot. So these, not there. These all go across like this. And a couple more mergers. Alright, so the easy part is done. Now we just have to put the main belt along and then put it into a dimensional depot, and then at some point we're going to run back and remove the dimensional depot from our previous rod's location. Alright, so we have that. We have industrial storage container. And we have sink. And then we have a nice little smart splitter there. Sending it there. And there with right as overflow. And then we put the uploader in and feed that in, and this, okay, now we just need to, okay, I actually just realized I haven't left any spare power pole connections for the sink. So we're going to have to take a power line out, put another one in, do all that. Alright, so now, as soon as iron ore shows up, this should function. Now the iron ore showing up seems to be a bit more of a problem. So I guess let's just take a signal out, see if it adjusts, because somewhere in here there's a signal which is not letting us go through. And I do not understand how that's happening, but it definitely seems to be happening. Alright. Once again, what on earth is going on? So, how is anything that I've done here in any way different from what I did over at the Dune Desert Station? Because that is a very similar thing, but it works fine. So the outputs on here are obviously identical. All of this stuff is shared between the two tracks, so there's not going to be any incidents there. Now we just head over here. And alright, so here we have a path signal on the right going in, a block signal on the left going out. We have a block signal there. Let's just take that block signal out, see what happens. Nope, doesn't fix it. Then we have a block signal there, and a path signal there. Alright. I do think I want a block signal there just so that that isn't such a long, weird stretch of stuff that's technically the same as that. Still nothing has changed. Alright, let's move over to the Dune Desert Iron Outpost and see what happens, because conceptually that is identical to the one that I've just placed, and yet it works. So we head on over. Unfortunately, it's a fair bit away. It's not the closest I could have possibly put it. And I've forgotten to make a hypertube cannon again. I'll do that while I'm there. I'll make a hypertube cannon to launch myself back. Alright, so then obviously all of these signals are irrelevant because they're just identical, and besides, if there were a problem with them, it would break the Dune Desert Station, not the Rod Station. So we're just gonna head on over. Alright. Then we have this intersection, which is, I believe, it's just paths on the right. Yep, paths on the right. And those signals on the block signals on the other side going in. And this looks identical to the intersection over there. Alright, and then we move all the way down the rest of the way to see what's going on all the way over there. And we hop, skip, and jump over. Alright. Over we go. And almost there. We'll get to see what's going on with this, but I think it's the same, right? I mean, like, this is definitely just conceptually identical, right? We have the block signal, we have the path signal. The path signal going in. Yeah, the only thing I can think is that somehow the physical tracks are messed up over there. Like, they think they're not connected even though they are, or something. Wait. It's going to set up a hypertube. I'm to prepare to launch myself. Alright. So first, we're going to need a blueprint for this, since I'm probably going to place them a couple other times. So just give me some space over here for Blueprint Designer. Blueprint Designer Mark 1. Alright, so then we have Transport. And we have Hypertube Supports. And so these go like spaced like this. We're going to fit in as many as we can, because more equals more faster. Alright, now we put entrances on every other. Alright, then we drag the hypertube themselves from the entrance to the next one, from the entrance to the next one, and so on. And then the last one we're just going to have to manually hook up. So let's call this Hypertube Cannon. Save it up, clear it. And it didn't clear that last one, which is a little bit weird, but fine. Alright, so then we destroy that. Oh, I forgot actually, there is an important time-saving thing that I need to add on to the blueprint, which is the power connections, of course. So let's load up the Hypertube Cannon. Oh, I think I might know what happened, maybe, with the rails. I might have not set it to auto-connect mode. That's a possibility. Alright, so then we get all of those hooked up. And then we don't need that. We need to take that support and mess with it to get the height and angle. So we send it back there, and now we need the angle. The angle is important. Try that. Does it hook up? No, it's too steep. Okay, so let's try just like that. Partially overlapping blueprint designer. Okay. Well, we can have it there, I guess. And it's going to be a really short hypertube. Alright, let's try that. Save the design. Clear the designer. Delete the designer. Now we just place that in there. And we hook it up. Alright. Fuel check. Parachute check just in case. Off we go. I don't know if this will take us far enough. We have quite the distance to cover after all. Looks like we should be fine though. Happy to use the jetpack to stretch it a bit further, but should be plenty. Alright, here we are. So now we need to get over to the rods. And I think what's happened is that the rails are like in a weird like superposition of being connected but also not realizing that they're connected, which makes it think that I can't get there. That is my theory, at least. So we take that out and we put it back in. So now that is definitely connected. Then we take all of that out and connect that back in. And replace the block signal, obviously. Okay. Still no dice. Then maybe it's something to do with this whole curve back here, which is making it a problem. So we take all that railway out. And it still thinks that signals are the problem, which they definitely aren't, unless it's going to try to back into it. So let's get a curve. And then bring it back like that. And then connect it forward like that. Alright, still nothing. Oh wait. No, it's just hiding behind the other thing. Signals are making the next stop unreachable. But there is literally nothing wrong with this. It all just works, right? So this, they go in, they could go in from there, or they could go in from there. And they go out from there or there. I'm actually losing my mind. It's literally 100% identical to everything else that I've ever done. And yet it is not happy. Okay, what if I just delete and replace that track? Alright, what if I just delete those tracks and say it's only allowed to come in from that side? Still no dice. How? Why is it like this? Alright, what if I just take these signals out entirely? Just like these path signals just don't exist anymore. Now what? Okay, what's your problem now? Loops into itself? Yeah, I bet it does, doesn't it? Not really. I wonder if that has anything to do with the problem. Alright, what if we just put that in? This is incredibly confusing. It's like actually nothing is wrong, but it is saying that it is wrong. It's like, I don't know how, like, I can clearly drive the path. This train drives most of it. What if I just take every single signal off of this path? Just literal none of them. Alright, there are no signals between where the other train can definitely go and where this train is trying to go. Maybe I need to get in and retry it again. So let's get over here. Turn off self-driving cars. Turn on self-driving cars. No. Okay. So you can do fun settings there, actually, that would have been helpful to know about a moment ago. Turn off self-driving. And we're just going to manually take this over. Maybe I just have to like delete and replace the entire train or something. Alright, this is maddening. Like, I think delete replace the train is going to be the only option left. Which is a bit annoying because like there's all this cargo in it, but I guess if that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do. Accidentally got out there. Alright. Let's get off of the main track so that we're not going to cause any traffic jams. Turn on self-driving. No, still nothing. Alright, so we're gonna just dock, which should deposit all this cargo, which will be helpful. And go a little bit further forwards. Alright, pretty sure you're supposed to be able to hit a nice convenient button to dock. You have to be like perfectly lined up or something. I don't know. Well, I could just delete all of this, I guess. Don't really need it that much. It's not like it's super valuable or anything, just a bunch of iron ore. Alright, so all those go out. Then we tear apart the train cars. And we take the locomotive down. Alright, now let's start back here. Pop in a locomotive. And go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars. Alright, drive, open train menu. Give you rods production. No. Still no good. Still no good. I'm an idiot! Yeah, that'll do it. Alright. That was placed backwards this entire time. Thank you for that. Alright, so now we place that. Call that rods production. Alright, then we go here. We give you rods production and distributor 1. And easy. So yeah, that's what was happening. It wanted to go in backwards because the train station was backwards. Okay, actually wait, can I... Freight wagon is fully loaded / unloaded. So that way the train will stay nice and safe over here instead of constantly making unnecessary trips. I don't think I've ever actually done that before, but it should help. And I should probably do that with the other one too. Although the other one is... Yeah, I think I probably will. Because it's just a nice, easy way of reducing congestion is to make sure the trains are only running when it would be maximally efficient to do so, which means when the cars are full. Alright, so now we're in here. We edit Dune Desert Iron as fully loaded / unloaded and wait for... I don't know, the wait for 15 seconds thing seems like a bad idea. We're going to save that. And off you go. So now these trains should only run when they're full. Or at least, well, the output trains will only run when they get fully emptied. There's no guarantee that they'll be traveling from the input completely full. But the point should be roughly the same. We're just keeping them out of that station and the roundabout and everything as much as physically possible. Alright, now you just go in there. Alright, now we need to actually put the signals back in. So you get a pass signal, you get a block signal. Alright, then we get pass signal there, block signal there, pass signal there, block signal there. Alright. Why? Alright, so I put the wrong type of signal somewhere. I put the wrong type of signal somewhere. Where is it? Oh, this is probably facing the wrong way. That's probably the problem. Yeah. That's the problem. And then let's just finally give this the ability to go the other way if it really wants to. Which, obviously, it shouldn't. But if it does, then I don't want to... If there's some good reason for it, then it is allowed. Alright, there we go. And let's see, we have iron here. Which, right, so I dismantled the train station, so obviously I need to reconnect the power line. There we go. And now this is all set up and running. There goes the iron, we're making rods, and should be split properly and everything. So yeah, there we go. That's that, and obviously the depot isn't going to need to fill up or anything because it's already filled from the other one, which now I should go and dismantle. Which is going to be by far easier to just respawn. Alright, rods production. That's this one over here. Off you go. Alright, so that is that. Oh, I left a dismantle crate, didn't I? Whoopsie. Let's clear inventory space. We don't need those. We don't need all of this steel or plastic or rubber. Should be fine like that. Got plenty of space now. Alright, let's check the hub and see what... These all require heavy modular frames, right? Right. So I could technically unlock Pipeline Mark IIs, and I just got rid of all the plastic that I probably brought into my inventory specifically for this purpose. That's fine. So let's throw that stuff in, and then wait for another couple batches of that. We're going to need Mark II pipelines in order to make fluid transportation at all convenient. Alright, here's a question. I wonder what is more efficient. Is it going to be more efficient in terms of power to pump the water all the way up there, or stick them on trains low near the ocean and then train drive them up? Actually, wait. I just had an even better idea, which is I could just package loop them up and then they're on belts, so transporting the water up wouldn't take any power at all. That would be handy. And let's see, do I want to deal with the whole giant package loop situation for all of the fluids? No, I kind of want to just have fluid trains. That's what they're most convenient for. So yeah, I think the package loop would just be for getting the water and oil and such specifically up to train level, not for anything else. Alright, so next step. The next step is, I guess, getting more resources onto that, and also probably just confirming that it works more than just like the 5 minutes that I was checking. So I'm going to need to get back up reasonably quickly. And I think... Alright, I think I should probably move the hub up to like the center of the roundabout. Let's see, is there any stuff in here? Ooh, there's a summer sloop, that's fun. So yeah, let's grab all this junk. And dismantle the hub. And then bring this all the way up onto, so we're gonna put the hub up on the giant thing up there, probably right by the resource hubs, just because that's a logical place to put things. Alright, so first step is get up there. Second step is probably just hypertube cannon myself over. And I could probably have a hypertube cannon pointing mostly up to help get up there, but it should be like one of the last couple of times that I actually have to make this journey, since I'm abandoning that whole factory. Alright, up we go. So we just need to climb this mountain and then use the power poles up there to hypertube cannon over. I wonder if a more sophisticated hypertube cannon could have like a biofuel generator in there as well, so I could set it up anywhere I wanted. That would be handy. Also, I've flown off. So I somehow managed to lose grip on the zip line, which means time to climb up the normal way, at least for a little bit. Alright, now we're here, and we can go the rest of the way up. Alright, here we are. I wonder if my hypertube cannon fits in there. Oh, I think it does. Alright, trains might technically collide with this, but it should be fine. Oh, I built it facing the wrong way. So dismantle you. You need to be facing approximately that way. And be lined up so that you're roughly out of the way of the tracks. Alright, off we go. Hypertube cannons are the coolest thing ever. So we just fly on over here. And I think we might put the space elevator in this center bit here. So I think we want to put the hub just like off over here somewhere. I think this space between these two train tracks probably isn't going to be used for anything. So let's make a nice... I don't actually know how big the hub is. It's definitely going to fit in this space. Just don't know how much of it it's going to take up. Get a nice little bit of foundation there. And pop it in. There we go. Hub has been moved. And let's finish doing these upgrades. And my inventory is somehow clogged up again. There's been like 5 seconds since I cleared it, but here we are. There we go. Pipeline Mark II's unlocked.
Milestone reached.
What do I not need? I don't
Pipelines
need
and
those.
pipeline pumps can now be upgraded to Mark II. They are like Mark I, but
Need
better.
those.
Pipes seem to be objects of fascination to humans.
Throw some of
fact,
those
there are
in.
recorded instances of humans doing nothing but thinking about pipes for hours.
And just clear those out. Those can go in there, as can those. Alright, that looks like a good, reasonable, clear inventory. Alright, and then the other thing I want is, I always want a MAM over here, and an equipment workbench as well. Just the absolute basics, you know? And probably would expect to have a blueprint designer around here as well, but I'll do that later. Alright, so we have all of this stuff set up. And the resources are coming through. Obviously it's very unbalanced at the moment. In theory, it will balance out, like, once things saturate a lot. Once there's a lot of saturation in here, then they should all be evenly outputting. But for now, like, well, at least they should be outputting based on how much they need from each one, not how much they use. Alright, so we have our test setup complete. We have the hub moved up here. What is next? I think next is we need to prep this for heavy modular frames, which is going to be a bit of a task. So, let's see. I think we will just do the calcs on how much resources we need for heavy modular frames. And let's go over here by the hub to do that. So, first of all, go to the MAM. Oh, we finished a hard drive scan. Right, we're doing that. So we have a couple alt recipes for this, right? We have heavy encased frame, and I think there's also heavy flexible frame as well. So we're going to have to figure out which of those we want. And then we're also going to need alt recipes for the things that go into it. Like if we're going for heavy encased frames, then I don't even know. Maybe rubber concrete is an option. Alright, let's just take both of the frame alt recipes and put another scan in. Let's see, what other of these might be handy? Steel screws could be handy. Pure iron ingot we're definitely going to want. It's just too expensive otherwise. Bolted frame is a nuisance, I think. It's just not very efficient. Compacted steel ingot is not good. It requires compacted coal, which is sulfur, which is awful. Adhered iron plate is actually like a potential, right? If we wind up going the flexible frame route, we're going to have rubber anyways, and we'll need plates, reinforced plates for that. So that's a potential. And let's see, what else? What else is a potential? Rubber concrete, maybe. But no, I think we'd rather just not do that. And then I think probably none of these are relevant. Coated iron plate might be relevant for, again, if we're doing the flexible framework side of things. And honestly, this is why I just prefer to like have all the recipes unlocked and selected, just so that I can compare them more easily. Alright, any of the rest of these, molded beam isn't going to be good as the encased pipes recipe, so we can ignore that. Alright, let's set up some signs and start doing the math. Which I guess what this area is going to be now. You're the new display sign location. So first off, heavy modular frames. The base recipe makes 2 per minute, which means we want 20 per minute. Oh god, this is going to be a whole thing, isn't it? So 20 heavy modular frames per minute. Yikes. So the heavy encased frame drops the screws for concrete. Alright, I really need to just compare these two like apples to apples. So if you wanted to make 2 a minute, it would be half the modular frames, half the steel pipes, half the encased industrial beams, and concrete instead of screws. So that is a tremendous amount of savings. So a heavy flexible frame is going to have to be pretty dang good in order to compare with that. So if this is making 2 per minute, then it's no better than the default on the modular frames, marginally better than encased on industrial beams, and no steel pipes, which isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it uses a lot of rubber, and the number of screws for the heavy flexible frames times 10, literally 2,080 screws, which is absurd. Yeah, I think we're just doing heavy encased frame. Like, it's just like clearly the best. Doesn't require oil or anything. It's more efficient on the modular frame side, just all around better. Alright, so we still need to make 20 of these because we're basing our requirements off of the base recipe, not any alternate recipe, just because otherwise alternate recipes which are faster would be weirdly worse, and alternate recipes which are slower would be weirdly better, which seems against the spirit of the challenge. So we're going with heavy encased frames. So let's collapse all of those. So we need 53.333 modular frames, 66.667 encased industrial beams, which is another thing we really need to automate megascale soon. And then we need 240 steel pipes. That's going to be rough. And 146.667 concrete. So let's then get that written down. So heavy modular frames, 20 HMF is 53.3 mod frames and 66.667 encased beams and 240 steel pipes and 146.667 concrete. So the good news is encased beams, right, has the encased industrial pipe alt recipe, which swaps out beams for pipes. So the steel pipes and concrete don't really add any additional complexity here because we needed them anyways. So if we need a lot of these, so that would be 40 more steel pipes and 33.33 more concrete. So let's go with this. And what is it? 66.7 of these is 40 pipes, 33.333 concrete. All right, so that's pipes, concrete. Modular frames are the next one. We need 53.333 of them. So let's get that planning marked down. Mod frames equals. Now we pull up this and we figure out. So we have two alt recipes for modular frames. There's a third one which we haven't locked, and it uses parts that are not yet available to you. Alright, so we have the choice between steeled frame and the default recipe. So steeled frame, obviously more efficient in terms of reinforced iron plates and uses pipes instead of rods. Now, a pipe is 3-to-2 in terms of steel beams, but in terms of steel ingots. But steel ingots are better than 1-to-1 with iron ingots. So this is like 15. So this is 15 steel ingots, which is going to be better than the 12 iron ingots for this. Although steel rods is huge here. So this is what? 3 steel ingots for this whole thing? Whereas this is going to be like 15. And then it's gonna be just one more reinforced iron plate. Yeah, I think default recipe might actually be better. We'll have to see, I guess, how much the reinforced iron plates are. Because it might be critical to get as much efficiency out of these as we can. So adhered plate is 3-to-1, which is about as good as stitched iron plate, which requires wire. Much, much better than reinforced iron plates, but this requires rubber, which is kind of a pain to get. just because it requires that whole setup there. Now, stitched iron plate, we can use iron wire for, right? And it's 5 to 9, which is... Or we could go crazy and use fused wire, but that uses Caterium, which isn't completely free. Let's just use iron wire. Let's make this relatively simple. But then the iron wire, in order to make... I don't know, let's figure that out. So back up to the mod frames, how many of these do we need? Can that even be set right? No. So we're going to have to set it down to 1% and then multiply it by 100. So this is going to be 80 reinforced iron plates, whereas this is going to be 35. Is that right? Yeah. So literally half the iron plates, but obviously pipes instead of rods. So let's go down the default recipe rabbit hole. Is 80 reinforced iron plates, and I should have closed this. And 320 iron rods. 320 iron rods. Now, yeah, I think we should just keep track of both of them. So the second one is, if we go the steel frame route, then it is 3.555 reinforced iron plates. Actually, if I add more 3s on there, 3.556 iron plates, 35.56, and 177.78. So this is 35.556 and 170. Was it really that low? So this is 5.333 as normal, and it's 177.778. Iron rods. Or, not iron rods, but steel beams. Which is a pretty good deal. It is a pretty good deal there. Alright, now, the reinforced iron plates, then, assuming we go stitched plates, which is just, I think, just generally the best. It's only marginally worse on the iron, but requires copper instead of rubber, which is a big deal. Or just more iron. So, stitched iron plates, we need 80 of them. So we're going to set that to 8. So that's 266 iron plates and 533 wire. And so that is going to be this. 80 rip equals 266.667 iron plates. And I've forgotten already. My memory is awful. 533 wire. Alright, so that is that. Then we have to go back to our second alternate world there, which is only 35.5 reinforced iron plates, which, please let me select this. 35.5. Oh, right. It's going to be 3.555. So 118 iron plates and 118.5 iron plates, 23.7 wire. If I match that in, then yeah, it starts being a bit weird. 11.8, 118 iron plates. I'll write this down. 18.52 and 23.704. Need to not get confused with my decimal points. I'm multiplying everything by 10 here. 118 and 237.04. And this is 35.5 repeating. Alright. Then we need to account for either the rods or the beams in either of our alternate worlds. So we get rods here. I need 320 of them. And I assume we're going to be doing steel rods because it's just obviously much better. So we are going to need 80 steel ingots. 320 rods equals 80 steel ingots. Alright, then for the beams, or no, pipes. So we have steel pipes, which is 3-2. And how many do we need? We needed 177.777. Alright, can I just search for steel? Yeah, and then it shows up. So if we're going for that, then it's 266.66 steel ingots. So this is 177 and some pipes equals 266 steel ingots. Alright, so both of these reduce down to steel ingots, plates, and wire. So this one has like 100 less plates. Hello! I am currently calculating the resources needed for a heavy modular frame factory, and quite a large one. So let's see, this one. So if we go for, what are even alternate recipes? Right, so these are the two possible modular frame recipes that we could use, either using iron rods or steel beams. The steel beams is much kinder on the reinforced iron plates, whereas the iron rods is much kinder on the steel. Just trying to figure out which one I want more. So we have, I really should have placed these in a way where it's easier to look at both of them at once. So this is just fully less than half of the iron plates. How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good. Alright, let's calculate out the, actually, let's calculate out the plates and how much these are going to need. So we could have steel cast plate, which is 2-ish to 3, or coated iron plate, which is 5 to 10 but requires plastic, which sucks, or default, which I'm not doing. So steel cast plates is just 1 to 3. So that's pretty good. So if we need 266 plates for this recipe, alright, there we go. So then we need, it's just 3 to 1, right? Yeah, 3 to 1 at least for each individual thing. So 266.667 divided by 3 is 88.889. 266.667 plates equals 88.888 iron ingots and 88.888 steel ingots. Then we have to do the same thing for these. So let's actually just dismantle that sign and place a copy of that one in. And 118 divided by 3 is 39.3. So those go in, and 39.333 steel ingots. It's not looking good for the steel pipe version. The rods version is looking pretty good at the moment. Alright. Then the wire is also going to matter, which let's assume we do iron wire just to make it all comparable. It's close enough if you do it with the other recipe, of course. So, iron wire. I need more signs. I don't know why I did this like this. Should have at least had some more space. So, wire is 533 wire. So if I set this to that, then that's 296 iron ingots there. This might be where it makes it back. And because it's how much wire? 533 wire equals, I really need to write this down the first time I do the math. 296.29. 296.29. Yeah, you can share your suggestion. I don't mind. If it's a good one, then I might take it. Alright, so then we have the other one, which is a lot less wire, obviously, and it is 237.04 wire. 237.04. Yep, alright, just expecting that. So, wire. $23.704 is 131.69 iron ingots. Alright, so there we have our two options down to steel ingots and iron ingots. And I guess we can convert the steel to iron ingots and coal next. Alright, so that is We need to make sure we're getting all the steel across the entire thing. Alright. Right, so we're just looking at the mod frame production right now. But we have another 280 steel pipes that we're also going to need to do for either of these. Which is definitely worth considering. Alright, so all the steel for all the mod frames is 168 steel ingots. So let's get a display sign. So that is steel ingots and 168.8 steel ingots equals... Right, is that correct? 80 there, 88.88 there, yes. Alright, so then we have solid steel ingot, which... Can I actually just do that? No, I can just barely not do it all in one. So it's 112 iron ingots and 112 coal ingots, 0.59. 112.59 iron ingots, 112.59 coal. And then for this one, we have 266 steel ingots there, and another 39.333. 206.666 plus 39.333 is 306. So, 306 even steel ingots. And let's check. 30.6 is 204 each. Which does have the benefit of being nice even numbers. So that's something. But it has the downside of being much larger. So from the iron ingot side, this one adds up to, let's see, 296 plus 112.59. 0.29 plus 112.59 is 408.88. .88 iron ingots and 112.59 coal is the total for the modular frames. Then we go over to this one and we get, I really did not place these well at all. So there's 204 ingots there, so 335.69 iron ingots, 204 coal. 335.69. 335.69 iron ingots, 204 coal. Alright. So that works out to almost double the coal for a marginal improvement in iron, and especially when we consider all of these pipes and stuff, it's not going to be much of a difference. Alright, so let's determine we are using the front row, which is good because it's easier to see. And then we have to go over here to the pipes. So we dealt with the mod frames. We dealt with the encased beams briefly. Now we need to do with the pipes and the concrete. So 280 pipes. And set this as steel pipes. 280 steel pipes. Yep, that's exactly right. And it is going to be, it's 3 to 2. So it's going to be 420 steel ingots. Nice. Which is just going to compress down to some number of iron ingots as well. And then the concrete is, we need 180 concrete, I think, even. So that is going to be 180 concrete is, what's the best recipe for this that I have? Just wet concrete, because we're probably going to want to do wet iron anyways, which is just 270 limestone. 270 limestone, comma, water. And it's going to be a lot of water, but I don't really care how much. I guess I should write it down. 225. Alright, then these steel pipes. We ended up not using steel pipes in this main line here. So 420 steel ingots just adds onto this one. So instead of 168, it is 588. 588 steel ingots is almost just 10 of these. So it's going to be 392.59 iron and coal. 392.59. 392.59. And then we have to account for that in terms of the overall total for iron ingots, which is 392.59 plus 296.29 is 688.88 iron ingots. And 392.59 coal. 392.59. All right. I think that is correct. No, we need to account for the plates, right? Plus 88.888 plates. Because that's just the wire. Yeah, so we need 88.888 iron ingots plus 88.888 is 777.7, probably just sevens. I'll record that as 0.768 just to to be sure. Just to be nice and precise. Alright, I think this is a full plan. No, it's not. I should account for the iron ore in the pure iron recipe. So let's get rid of these signs since we're not using this plan. So all of this goes down. Then we get another sign behind it, which this time I'm going to have face the other way so I can actually look at it at the same time, is just going to be the iron ingots in pure form. So that's 777.768 iron ingots. Actually, I can just use this one and move the coal over here. So this is 392.59 coal, and I'll mark down how many iron ore we need there. So that equals iron ingot recipes. And I think we're just going to go for pure because it's just water. So this is going to be like that. 418.8 iron ore, 239 water. Let's write that down. 418.8 and 239.31 equals 418.8 iron ore and 239.31 water. Alright, so we have coal, 418.8 iron ingots, 392.59 coal, and like 500-ish water, which I'm never going to be exact on because who cares, and 270 limestone. 270 limestone and around 500 water. And it's water, so who cares? Alright, so we have all that. Now, we just need to trace this into the notes, which we started to do, but gave up. So we need actually 280 steel pipes. And we need 180 concrete. 180 concrete. Let's see here. Then we have those. We need 80 reinforced iron plates. And we need 320 rods. And we need 266.667 plates. And 533.33 wire. 533.333 wire. And 588.888 steel. And 777 iron ingots. 768 iron ingots. We're going to run out of space in this. And then finally we go around the back and this is 418.8 iron ore, 392.59 coal, 270 limestone, 500 water. Alright, is there room for the spaces for the new lines in here? Just for neatness. Alright. So that should be a complete list of everything, unless I have missed something important, which is very well possible. So, with that tracked down, the next thing I need to do is get production for all of these things. So I need to expand my amount of iron ore a little bit. Not a huge amount, just a couple more. So we're at 480 in, I'm using 150. So I just need to go over there, put an additional thing in there. Next, I need to add in rows for coal, limestone, and water to have those set up as well. So let's do that. So we need some space, and then we have this railway, which, I don't know, somewhere like here is going to be the return rail for the trains. So that's going to be like that. And obviously it's not really going to be here, it's going to be more along this way. And let's not have it weirdly midway between two foundations, let's just have it over here. And by this point, it's already like curving back. So we can just put that railway in there, and it's going to have to curve back up and join up with the main line, of course. Then, immediately past that, how much space did we give for that here? Gave, looks like, 2 full foundations for it, and that looked to be about a good amount of space. So we get 1 foundation, 2 foundations, and then back here is where we have our stations. Oh boy, setting up stations for entirely new types of resources is a bit time consuming, but gotta do it. And the good news is there's not that many new types of resources that we're ever going to have to set up stations for. Alright, so then the middle is lined up here. And we had, so that lines up there and goes back there. And this is copper hub, and one over, not one over, actually a fair bit over. So this comes along that way, and here give the same spacing. We line it up there. And this is the copper distributor. Copper distributor. I spelled copper wrong, didn't I? Copper. There we go. Alright, so we have those two in. Then we need to put in the freight platforms, which I think for ease of access, I'm going to do it correctly this time and have these facing this way. Technically means that it's not perfectly symmetrical with the iron one, but that's fine. That's not really a goal anyways. Alright, so then we have to expand this foundation out even further this way. It's a good thing I upgraded my concrete supply like absolute crazy, or this would potentially be an issue. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 freight platforms. Just pop the 5th one in there. And then this one gets 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 5. Alright, so now we have that. And now these can just go across. Like that. And I'm not going to need the second row of throughput for a while. So I think we'll leave it for now, just in respect of my encased industrial beam supply, which I need to upgrade, which will be the next thing that I upgrade after the heavy modular frames. Alright, so then we have those two in. Then we have a gap of 1, 2, 3, 4 full foundations, and then the return line, which is, I believe, yeah. Alright, so technically this was a blueprint in the other version, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4 empty foundations. And then the return line. Like so. So this, if I remember correctly from looking over here, this belt just branches into there, and that's all. No fancy stuff with it. Alright, then it merges up with this, which goes over there, and we might have to mess with it a little bit to make it work. But that goes into there. And that goes... Okay, no, it's going to be easier to grab it from there. And in we go. Alright, so then we have that. Now these need to merge in with this return line. So this is where the trains go back onto the thing afterwards. And need some additional foundations there. Need for this to curve, but not too sharply. Do something like that. No, that's disgusting. Alright, that works quite well, though. Then we go down here. And just have to find a spot where this snaps in well. And apparently there just isn't one. How did I do this over here? Let me guess, it just worked. Yep, it just worked completely easily without any trouble at all. Alright, well that's easy. We'll just have to make sure that it works completely easily without any trouble at all. No, okay, it seems to have snapped in right along here. So let's see if we can just replicate that. Oh, not that whole giant blueprint. No, that does not seem to be cooperating. Alright, what if I just get rid of that? And this is sort of the nuclear option for getting things to line up, is to just dismantle it and try again. And there. So now we have all that. That's all connected. Alright. Then we just need to connect that up to the output trains and then connect them up to the rest of the train network. So that can go around like that. We need to take that one out. Pop that in there. And then that can loop around and connect into that. Alright. So then we're just going to connect this up to the network, do all the signaling, and then we will have copper attached to the train network, and then we're going to have to just do all of this again for limestone and water. Water will be slightly different since we're using fluids, but ultimately the same. Alright, so this just drags along this way, and it's going to have to go quite the distance in order to link up with all of the things that I'm going to be adding back here. Alright, that should be probably good enough. Alright, so now we return back here, and we have to set up the good old three-way T intersection. Alright, so this needs to go like that. It probably doesn't actually need to do that, but there's nothing stopping it from doing that. And then like that. This one is the output, and it has to go that way. Actually, yeah, we definitely don't need that, because only copper trains would be going in here, and only limestone trains would be going in there. So there'd never be a reason for train to go any other way. So we have that. Then we just pop in. I think this does still. Could probably use a path signal. And a block signal. And a block signal. And a path signal. Alright, so that's that. Then we get these in with a path signal going there. And that probably doesn't need to be a path signal. It doesn't, probably might not even need to be any signal at all. Alright, so those two get regular old signals. And yeah, let's just make you a block signal. Then we go over here. And we get signals on the other side of the train station. So that this is all separate. And then that should be fine. That can be fine as just one long-ish but not extremely long block. Alright. So that should be the copper stuff all set up, unless I have messed up horribly. So next up is we have to do the same thing again for limestone. So we skip 2. Then we put a railway in. Alright, then we actually no, it was the railway and then skip 2 and then put in the foundation, right? Or the train station rather? Yeah. Alright. Technically we've used a little bit of extra space here, which, you know, every block matters when you're building gigantic railway networks that are going to fill the entire map, probably. May as well save a foundation tile while you can. Alright, so that goes across, and that is going to be the return. Then we have 1, 2, and then the stations go in here. And this all expands out. I really don't like how this last bit is shorter for no reason. So let's head up here and fix that. Alright, so we get all those. Now we put in the train station, which lines up with this block, so just like there. And then there's a 2 foundation gap and the train station. Then we go over here. We line up with this block and with that train station. Alright, so we have all that in. Next up is putting the freight platforms in. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and expand out the foundations some more. Hooray! So these all have to go back even further. Yeah, it turns out building a gargantuan train network requires placing a lot of foundations. Who would have guessed? Alright, so we did get 4 of those in. So in goes the 5th. Now we just need to put these in. 3, 4, and 5. And we need to name these. So this is Limestone Hub. And this is Limestone Distributor. Alright, so that's that. Then we put those in. So these all come across. And now they're hooked up. Alright, so then the next thing we need to do is skip, what was it, 4 foundations, put the other railway in. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Railway goes here. Alright, and off you go. Just nice solid like that. Then, actually, do I want to just build out the water one too? Yeah, I think I do. So we go 1 over. And this is going to be the return line for the next one. Then we skip 2 and start building the foundations there. So then this continues all the way over this way. Alright, all those foundations go in. Then it's skip, then we line up with this block here. And we make sure to face it out. We skip 2 foundations and plop that in. Then we head over here. We line up with this one, which is that, and with that train station, and we place it in. Alright, now we need the fluid freight, which is going to be fun. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we expand this out by 1 row. And then stretch it back by a whole zoop. And this should be just about, this should be it for now. We're still going to need to add in some other things. Also, I named that one copper, but I need to name it coal instead because I don't actually need copper at the moment. Alright, is my inventory full? No. It's a weird bit of lag when I dismantled that. I thought maybe it would making a dismantle crate somewhere. Alright, then I skip 1, 2, 3, 4 full rows, and then the exit track goes here. Alright, so then this is all going to be water hub and water distributor and then we need to head back. While I'm thinking of naming things, I need to head back and rename the copper to coal. Copper will come later. Maybe we actually need to use copper. Coal hub and coal distributor. Alright, so we have those two in. And then we just have to finish hooking these up. Alright, so this one, we need some blocks over here. And we need it to just get over like that. Then this has to just snap in nice and conveniently like that. And this needs to expand out that way a little bit. And then that just snaps in like that. Alright, then we will go and do that same thing on the water hub. Just do the same thing repeatedly so that you don't have to constantly remember what you were doing previously. Alright, so then that goes there. That snaps in there. This snaps in there. Alright, so that's the outputs done. Now we have the inputs to worry about. So first off, we need to expand this back this way, just that we have something to snap this off of. So we do that. Then come a little further and we do that. Alright, then we do those same steps over here. So we start by putting these in. And then snapping those in so that the output is connected up. Alright, so now we just need to hook up these tendrils up with this. So let's take that out, drag that in there. Nice and simple. Nice and simple. Then we go over here, we take that one out, grab this one, and we drag it in there. Alright, brilliant. Last step is just the, well, okay, second to last step. I don't know why I keep saying last step when it's definitely not the last step. That's something I noticed I do a lot. Anyway, second to last step is we need to connect these up to the main line, and we also need to extend the main line over to here. So over you go. Like that. Alright, so now we have to go in from there into there and out from there into there. And then we need to to signal. So this gets a block signal going out and a path signal going in. And then we should have those signals there just for the sake of them existing. Alright, then this is obviously going to be unhappy. So you get a block signal there. And a path signal there. Yeah, all of this is really not pleased at the moment. Why are you angry? Is it gonna be the whole looping into itself thing? No, so somewhere I've messed up and placed the wrong type of signal. So that is a block signal, right? And it's just going out, and obviously it hits the end of the road. Oh, this is a block signal, and it's meant to be a path signal. And then this is a block signal, but how does it have conflicting entry types? Are you not the right type of signal either? You're a path signal. You're a path signal. How are there conflicting entry types? Alright, I'm just gonna take that out, because I think it's the whole situation where it gets confused when it's directly on an intersection. No, apparently not. Lovely. Alright, so what is going wrong here? This is a path signal going into this. This is a path signal going into that. That's a path signal going into that. Okay. I don't fully understand. If I take that out, then it does break something down there. Yeah, so this definitely does need to be a block signal. Oh, is it something wrong with this section? Yeah, it's something wrong with this section. Alright, so what... Alright, we can fix that easily. Just pop block signals there. Alright, what is this? This is the coal setup, right? So you're doing the whole conflicting entry signal type thing. Right, so this is actually the last one before, so that needs to be a block signal. Alright, now I think that has fixed everything. So now we can get over here. And that obviously will eventually work once there's more track down there. Then all of this works, and we just need a block signal there, just because I think it helps. We need block signals going into the stations, and block signals coming out of the stations. There we go. Alright, so that is that one all set up. Now we just have to do this middle one, which somehow winded up getting left till last. Alright, so this needs to go there. This needs to go there. Alright, so we have that. Now we just put the signals in, and we don't mess anything up this time. We get path signal there. Easy. Path signal there. Path signal there. Block signal there. That has a block signal there, which is probably fine. And that has a block signal there, which is probably fine. It's close enough anyways. Alright, so then we go in here. You get a block signal. You get a block signal. And we get one in there. Alright, what's the problem here? Loops into itself. How? Oh, is it because this is past the intersection? I'd really like it if they didn't have it be like that. So yeah, so that works. Now all of that stuff works. And we just need to put block signals on the other side of the train station. And done. Alright, so I think this whole thing has been properly set up. So then the next step is actually going out and grabbing the resources for all of this. Oh, wait, I actually need to... I think I need to hook some of the belts across still. Yeah, so those ones are done, those ones are done, these ones are done. Right, it was the pipes that I hadn't done yet. What does it take for Mark II pipes? No heavy modular frames, so I can just do this. That's great. So these just all go directly across. Like that. Alright. So that should be everything here. Now we just need to go out. We need to get all of these resources for the heavy modular frame factory, and preferably enough for just like so we don't have to go out and grab more stuff every single factory, which would somewhat defeat the point. Not entirely defeat the point, but somewhat. I mean, like, it might be a good practice to do that anyways, just to make sure we don't ever run out, but... Alright, that train is just called train. Alright, yeah, so I need to change this train's name. I just realized that it wasn't labeled properly. So let's catch up to you. Train menu name, and this is Iron Train. Alright, so that distributes the ore. Might call it Iron Distributor, but it's already in the Iron Distributor train station, so who knows. Alright, so we have that. Then these can do their thing. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen both of the trains in here at the same time. This isn't going to cause problems, right? Right. They just leave nice and easily. The second one has to wait a little bit. Which wouldn't have been relevant anyways, because it was unloading anyways. Alright, so that is that. Yeah, I think we're gonna leave the execution of the so it's 4:40 now, and it's probably gonna take more than like 20 minutes to get all these resources into the train system. So I think we're going to leave it off there as far as forward progress goes. See, these trains don't seem to be doing what I expected them to be doing when I set those special conditions. Like I told them to only leave when they're full or completely empty, and it doesn't seem like they're doing that. So let's hop over to the rods system and see what's going on over there, which is hilariously just directly across a relatively short gap from our train hub now. So it unloads. It's clearly not fully unloaded, and yet it is also clearly heading out. Timetable. Rods production. Oh, this is or, isn't it? So if I set that to and, maybe that will work. I'm just going to sit in the train and see what happens. Because what should happen is that it makes it back to the rods production and just sits there forever. Now, I don't know if this is actually what I want to do, because I want to have this train... So really there are two options, right? The first option is I have a dedicated train for each node, and I just have them sit in their nodes while they aren't completely filled. The second option would be to have a smaller number of trains going to multiple nodes at once. And I haven't fully decided which of those I like better. So the advantage to each node having its own dedicated train is, of course, just I know that there's not going to be throughput issues on the train side of things, only on the station side of things, and also just physically uses, which would be helpful. Now, the downside, of course, is that it physically uses more trains, but I think that might be worth it. I don't know, I'm going to have to think about that. Probably as we set up the next couple of factories. Because the good news is it is relatively easy change to make if I do decide to change it one way or the other. Like it's just adding in a couple of trains or removing a couple of trains. Gosh, trains are so convenient. They just work so nicely at everything you want them to do. And like, yes, I spent the last several hours of playtime just setting up all this infrastructure, but also this is going to last me, like, for the rest of the game, probably. Even with requirements as big as this factory, it should be fine. Alright, so that... It unloads. And there they go. And it's not been fully unloaded, right? Because there's still these two trucks that are unused. And, like, none of those have been unused. Alright, but it's sending off anyways. So... Oh, did I just never set this? Did I need to hit save or something? Alright. Oh, I probably needed to hit save there. Yeah, probably needed to hit save there. Let's see if it works on this next loop now that I've definitely hit save a couple of times. In fact... Yeah. So now it should definitely be correct. So let's see if it works. It's going to be mildly annoying setting the trains to do that every single time, which is where having a smaller number of trains would come in. And also, it looks like even at rest, they still do use some power, which would be another reason to not spam a gazillion trains everywhere. 25 megawatts isn't a huge amount, but you know, it's something. And if I have 100 trains, then that suddenly is a huge amount. Alright. Train is going around. Gosh, it's just so satisfying. The only thing that would make this more satisfying would be knowing for a fact that it's going to work and we're not going to have like horrible congestion on this roundabout or anything, because that is something that I'm very much concerned about. Is especially so here's another concern, right? If I have a train for each destination and they all just go off when they need to, it's entirely possible that at some point, like 80% of the trains just have to all restock at once, which would be a bit of a problem. like that could cause serious spikes of congestion, which probably would be fine. I don't think there would... Let's see, would there be a deadlock on the roundabout? I mean, there might be. I don't know. Alright, yeah. This is definitely doing that now. So it's just going to sit here doing nothing until all of this has drained out. Now, one thing to consider is that I'm currently merging these unequally. And also, another thing to consider is that you can't access these while it's here. So, yeah, so I'm currently merging these unequally, which means that like these back ones are going to empty out before the front ones, which I don't think I want, question mark. If I'm doing it this way. If I'm doing it the other way, where I have just one train that makes loops bringing the iron everywhere, it's gonna be fine, right? Because if I do that, then just they'll take from whichever is available and it'll work out. But if I do it this way, like the back, like this back one here is not getting full use because it's gonna empty first, as we see here. So I'm gonna have to think about that. But I mean, it seems like the basic idea of the system is definitely working, which is critical. Like the minor details can be tweaked, but the basic system seems to be working. Also, we have infinity iron rods now and 339 coupons ready to be printed, which is probably enough to buy everything we could ever want. Also looks like the splitting is working, assuming these are all at 100%, which they are. So yeah, I would say all around big success. Plenty of progress. The actual factory side of things, you know, we've made a higher throughput factory for something that we didn't really need higher throughput for. But as far as the infrastructure improvements go, we have at least iron, coal, limestone, and water trains set up. We still need, copper is the big one. Caterium and quartz are also significant, and oil. So yeah, copper, oil, caterium, quartz, I mean, maybe sulfur at some point. But yeah, we have another couple train stations to put in, which I will be doing later. I want to get the heavy modular frame factory set up, just because that's like an actual proper large-scale factory, and once that is working properly, then I will know for a fact that this whole system works and I don't need to redo anything. So it would be a shame to have to redo everything after I've done everything completely. Alright, but yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a nice stream today. On Monday, we're going to be doing more of this, where we will be hopefully building the heavy modular frame factory. But we're going to need to put the resources onto the train network, which will take a significant amount of time since we're going to be putting on way more resources than we need for just this one factory. But let's see. So yeah, Monday is going to be heavy modular frame day. And then Tuesday we start Factorio, which should be a lot of fun. I've never played Factorio, but I hear that it's good. And so I wanted to play it. So that's going to be starting on Tuesday. So make sure to check that out if you're interested. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, alternating between various factory building games. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure to follow me so you know when I'm live. And that's about it. I will see you guys then. Bye!